Today, we're going to be covering improved session management, projects, move and copy across ShareFile workspaces, and Security Insights dashboard, our Security Insights dashboard. So with that, we're going to jump right into projects, and Mita is going to take us off from there.
All right. Thanks, Sylvia. Hi, everybody. I'm excited to speak to all of you about projects and all that we've changed and improved about it. Now, many of you are using ShareFile for jobs like collecting documents, executing signatures, and in some cases, request lists as well. If you haven't already used projects, projects builds on top of all of these jobs. In fact, it is a canvas that brings all of these jobs together into a single structured workspace, all with the intent of supporting work that exists within a context or of an engagement. So if there's any one thing that you ought to remember about projects, it is this, that it is a context driven workspace. Everything related to an engagement. Think of files, requests, to dos, comments, feedback. All of it can now live within one defined space of projects. Now, unlike folders, which was primarily built for, let's say, storing documents and managing records, projects is purpose built to build on top of these and go a step further. Projects will help you organize the work around artifacts like files. So think of it this way: instead of just managing files and folders, you can move to projects to manage the work that happens around files and folders. These are works or tasks like collection, reviewing, moving, approving, and more such. All of this happens with clear visibility into ownership, responsibilities, progress, and more such. With that, let me walk you through, a quick video that will explain, what's the way of projects as as it stands today. Now, when you create a new project, you're no longer going to be starting from a blank screen. That's the first improvement. You're going to be guided with cues that help you get started. You choose a template or create from scratch, like you see here, depending on how you run your work or your processes. And once you're inside the project space, you will see that it is fairly organized. Now, projects is organized around core jobs that make up any engagement. These tend to be requests, to dos, files, comments, data tables, and more such, all in a space. Request is the heart of it. This is a collection hub for documents, information, requests, and signatures. For document request lists, you have a few ways to get started: templates, create from scratch, or AI, like you see here, to generate the first version for you. AI version helps you get a working list very quickly without rebuilding every time. And if you already manage some of these lists in a tool like Excel, you can just manually create document request lists using that. You can also start information request lists using templates, depending on how standardized your work is, or also create e-signatures. You can define fields, upload documents, add recipients, send individually or in bulk. Then you have the to-dos. Think of this as your checklist for getting work done. It includes tasks tied directly to documents, as well as work that isn't necessarily tied to a document but still needs to happen as a part of the engagement. For example, setting up a meeting. This is a great space to use to assign tasks to internal and external collaborators, track progress as each step is completed. Comments is a place to keep communication connected to work. You can leave feedback across tasks, files, requests, and use @mention to bring the right people inside the project space, get their attention to complete a task. Now, uh, data tables helps extend the scope of the project itself beyond the core jobs that you see the plugins support. So if your project engagement involves work or information that does not neatly fit into a request, to-do list, or more such, use data table to expand the scope of the work itself. You can bring in clients into the projects. Permissions let you control what they see, how they participate, whether it's full access or limited view. And when work is complete, you can close the project. This creates a clear stop point, prevents further edits, and keeps everything intact. You can always go ahead and reopen a project if needed, especially if you need to delete it. This is the new experience of the entire project space as it stands today. Now, before we wrap up, a quick note on storage zones. I think when creating a project, you can select your preferred storage zones if your account has multiple zones configured. This option appears as a dropdown during project creation flow. At this time, however, changing the storage zone after a project is created isn't available as an option that you can execute yourself, but feel free to raise a support ticket, and this can be done using that mechanism. This is just a call out and something to keep in mind. If you have any more questions about projects, feel free to drop them in chat and we will get to it over the course of this conversation. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Mita. All right, we're going to switch over to Suraj and we're going to jump into move and copy across workspaces. Go ahead, Suraj.
Thank you, Latobia. Hi, everyone. So this is going to be a feature that or a capability that lets you essentially have greater control over your content. Meeta just talked about projects. You also talked about closing projects, especially when you need to, delete them. You could reopen. But if you need to archive, certain documents or certain files from projects, and you essentially want to delete a project, but you don't want to lose those files, this capability sort of enables that, right? So what this does is it allows you to move and copy files and folders from the folders section that you see at the left side, typically when you log into ShareFile, but also from projects and solutions like tags or solutions like Matter, depending on what you have installed. So any files and folders that reside in any of these entities, which is projects, solutions, or the folders itself, you could move and copy them depending on the access permissions that you have, right? So anybody who has permissions to download and delete will be able to move. Anybody who has permissions only to download will be able to copy content from one place to another. So essentially, this kind of gives you that opportunity to have content go through its own life cycle. So from folders to projects, when certain files and folders are needed in projects, because with the new projects capabilities, you just decided that it's a better way of doing things, of collaborating with with your colleagues and your clients. You move those files to projects, and once you finish the project and you want to sort of archive those contents, you bring it back to folders, right? So there's no need to download it every time you need to do this and then re-upload and essentially have duplicate copies of the documents, which eat up a lot of storage space. Interestingly, what we also have, sort of configured is when you move files or when you copy files from one place to another, the file context, including the version history, the metadata, all of that is preserved, right? So that way, from an audit perspective, from a continuity perspective, you have all the relevant information that is needed. Um, from a flexible permission-based access perspective, what this essentially means is I already talked about how, depending on the permissions you have, you are able to move and copy files depending on the permissions you have. Now, when you move a folder, from the folders section of your ShareFile environment to another folder, or when you move files from one folder to another folder, the people who had access to those particular files and folders before being moved will continue to have access to the same files and folders that you just moved and or copied into the new destination. Whereas if you move files or folders from folders onto projects or solutions, you will have to give them permissions. The permissions that are already enabled at the destination side, which is the project or the solution, will apply. If you need to provide access to somebody who's not already on a project, you will need to create access for that particular file or folder for those users. We'll see this in a quick demo as we go along next. Okay, so we start off here from a projects view. We will head to files and we will see how we are able to move a couple of files from projects. So we will click on more and we have the options copy and or move. And now we're trying to move the project files to a particular folder, which is a client folder, and it just gets moved from one place to another. You also see a toaster at the top that essentially confirms that the operation was successful, and we're able to now go to the folder and confirm that the move actually happened. On the right, you can see with the blue icons, the version history and all that metadata is being carried forward as well. And now we will copy one of those files and move them to a project. So we're moving it to a tax document collection project. So this is going to create a copy of that file within this project, within the file section itself. Next couple of updates are primarily around security. The previous capability that we just saw is available to users who are on the premium plans and above. This particular one we feel is very important from a security management standpoint, and this is available to everybody that's on advanced and above. Sorry for the typo there at the top that says premium and above. Improved session management is available to admins and users who are on the advanced plan as well. What this essentially allows you to do as an admin is you can view and expire any user's live sessions across devices. So as you can see on the screenshot to the right, This is an admin who has logged into their admin environment and as looking at the different sessions that are actively running for Jane Doe, the user. There are a couple of sessions that you can see to the right. Individually these can be logged out, but you can also log them out across all sessions. This essentially helps you contain security risks faster. If there are lost devices, or if there are credentials that are compromised, or if Jane Doe in this case used a shared device previously and missed logging out from there. Those are issues that you can solve without really contacting support. So there's more power in your hands. There's greater control from a security management standpoint in your hands. Users also get the same capability to log into their own personal settings and essentially log themselves out of inactive sessions or active sessions, but those that they're not using anymore. So this creates that environment of shared responsibility between admins and users, giving both of them relevant control over their own environments. So here we are seeing an admin view. So the admin goes to people, browse employees, and clicks on the settings icon for one of the users, as you can see there. And then towards the right side, you will see manage sessions. Upon clicking that, for Suraj Kumar R, the user here, you can see the different active sessions. The admin could individually sign the person out, or essentially click the sign out of all sessions to log them off of everywhere. We will also move on to the user view, which is Suraj has logged in, clicks on his profile, goes to personal settings, and at the top left you can see the sessions button. So this essentially shows me my sessions wherever I'm logged in. So there's one that's the current session. I obviously cannot log out of that one, but there's the other one. There could be many more that I could log out of. So this, again, like I said, it helps contain those security risks more proactively, much quicker than having to reach out to support and waiting for their response to help you do this. So this is an interesting update that we just brought in very recently. For admins, this is again bringing greater visibility and control from a security standpoint. So this is a centralized place for you to essentially monitor all kinds of security related activities and events and threat alerts that get surfaced for all users and devices accessing ShareFile, right? So it's pretty much as it says, right? Security Insights dashboard. So it sort of presents a view that is quick to scan, but then it also helps you sort of go into details and essentially get an earlier view of suspicious activity before those potential risks turn into actual threats and compromise scenarios, right? This again with drill downs, where you can look at details like the IP where certain events took place from, which device, which location, what the activity itself was. All of this is now accessible in a single interface, which previously you would have email notifications, and you would have notifications on the ShareFile web app, which at the top right you would typically get notified as an admin, and then you would have to take individual action on those. But more importantly, from an audit perspective, to maintain a stronger security posture and to be able to prove that when audit scenarios rise up, you have this centralized view that's giving you a near real-time view into how things are looking. If you can see also on the screenshot, there are different types of alerts that are flagged. I think we've configured for about 10 or 11 different types of potential security incidents that are tracked. And it essentially gives you a quick single eye view of how this is trending. Are things looking better? And of course, when you need to do a little more investigation, I think we can move to the demo and show you this as well. So this is available for all admins today on premium and above plans. So we will go into account settings and we will click on security. The first option there is security insights. So this is presenting the dashboard to you, which shows 0 security incidents this month. But again, you can see how it's trending up or trending down. You can look at what specific issues happened on which month and how many of those there were. You can also look at detailed incidents of each incident that gets recorded. You can filter these by incident type or security alert type. You can filter these by users. So if you have certain users who are using, ShareFile as a power user, who are using it frequently or using it from multiple different locations simply because their job requires them to travel, they are typically more prone to security risks. And so you can look at incidents that arise for them as well. We'll quickly drill down into a specific one. You can see that multiple countries, alert has been raised. So the red ones are the different countries, and you get access to information. There are also incidents that are automatically handled, remediated. This is possibly a case, I think, of when a password was reset for a user, when a security event was flagged from a proactive security management standpoint. You get information about what has been remediated, what action was taken. There is all kinds of metadata here that you get access to.